Hello, hello, hello. It's Melanie here. Welcome to 2020. Not only have we entered a new year, we are entering a new decade. I don't know about you, but I'm really excited for a new decade. If you are a personal friend of mine and follow my personal post, you probably saw my very personal post about the last decade not being everything that I had dreamed about, but everything I needed to become a better entrepreneur. And I thought today we would just pop in and do some connecting around your goals. So, we're at January 2nd today. And I know a lot of people use this time to kind of recap the old year. Did you use my year-end wrap-up tool that we shared here? If you missed it, I will cross-post in the comments in a little bit the link to the year-end wrap-up tool. I loved it. I've been working on mine here. I did them in black and white, but you can actually do them right on the computer. So I've been doing mine. And I will just out myself that there were several things that didn't get accomplished this last year that I really wanted to do. And some of that was because I had some tolerations and energy drains going on. I'm curious if you can relate. Did you have some tolerations, some energy drains, some distractions that kept you from accomplishing your goals? And maybe, hi Natalie, maybe you've got on your goal list some goals that have been there for several years now. My dog Dante agrees. He says, my dog mom did have some goals that she didn't get to again. Happy New Year, Natalie. I think that this is common, but I want to bring some principles in to help you as you're setting goals, because what I want for you this year is that you set goals that propel you, because we can actually use our goals to become catalysts to propel us rather than setting goals that kind of fall by the wayside. Maybe they stay on your year-end wrap-up tool or whatever you use to plan out. Maybe it's in your passion planner or whatever tool you like, and they never come to fruition. There are some strategies, some things, especially if they're money goals or impact goals, that you can be doing to pull a thread between the goal and the outcome that get missed, especially if you're someone who's highly creative and you tend to like that flying by the seat of your pants. I see you. I know what that's like. I've done it too, and I still do it sometimes. We have to learn how to integrate and balance the energy of being creative and in the moment with the tools that help us stay focused and true to the goals. So first of all, one of the things I would have you look at as you're setting goals is where there's some goals and dreams that you've been setting over and over and over again that you don't actually complete. And they could be anything, like writing a book, or it could be that you wanted to launch a program. Maybe you're one of those people that you really know it's time to leverage better and you want to scale your offerings, and you're trapped in a one-on-one service provider role, and you know you want to leverage your time and energy better, and you want to get this new program out there, but you're not making the time for it and it falls by the wayside. So what's missing, right? Or maybe you had a goal that you wanted to speak more, you wanted to get on more podcast interviews, but you just don't actually make the time. So here's a tip. When you're setting these goals, I want you to ask yourself, are you committed to it or are you interested? This is a very, very powerful distinction. I've talked about it on the podcast before. So if you follow my FI Success podcast, you probably caught the episode I did when I talked about commitment versus interest. But let me break it down for you. I see some more friends joining in. Hi, Laura. Laura and I did a really fun WSA TV episode earlier today for all of our fellow WSA members. So the difference between commitment and interest is when you're interested in something, it's nice. It's interesting to you. It's something that you have some desire around, but you stop at doing what would work because it gets uncomfortable. You stop at doing what's convenient because you have other things that are actually more urgent and more pressing. And so what happens is the urgencies always win, and the real like driving force of this goal gets kidnapped and derailed into things that are more urgent in the moment. And this is a very sophisticated way that our fears drive our focus and take us out of accomplishing things outside our comfort zones. Because let's face it, if we're setting goals that are a little bit of a stretch and things that you've never done before, you're probably uncomfortable. You're probably feeling like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how I'm going to make time for it. It's outside my wheelhouse. I don't know if I have the resources. Maybe it's a financial stretch, and you don't actually do it. So what I want for you, hi, Sunny. What I want for you is to shift your perspective and ask yourself, what would have to happen for me to be committed to this goal? Commitment means you do whatever it takes, not what's convenient to do. You know you're only interested in a goal when everything else gets your attention except the activities that would drive this goal forward. So it's a huge mindset shift for a lot of us, and it takes building up a muscle called boundaries. And I want you to be really kind to yourself when you look at the goals that you didn't accomplish, but be disciplined enough to say something has to change. I believe this is why people join high-powered mastermind groups like our Amplify Mastermind, because there is a whole nother level of accountability when you're working with a coach and your goals are being seen by peers who are movers and shakers like you. You can't let yourself off the hook when you're doing it solo and you're kind of in your own process and nobody's really paying attention. Like, look, we're all our own bosses, but are you letting yourself off the hook because you have no one you're accountable to? That's a really big moment, and it's something we really need to check in if we want this year to be different than all the years before. So where's your commitment level? And if you've been showing signs of interested, it's a nice idea, I'd like to do it, but I don't ever make time, other things become the priority, then guess what? We want to check in with, how do we up the commitment level? Do I need accountability? Do I need a coach? Do I need a mastermind? Do I need a game plan? Do I need more structure? Do I need someone to help me reverse engineer and brainstorm the steps because I'm getting lost in what to do next? Hi, Tamara. These are all really common reasons why we don't get to our goals. So tip number one is really check in. Am I interested or am I committed? And what do I have to do to become more committed? There's no right or wrong answers to that, but don't let yourself off the hook with, well, I just need to, like write them down and do them, right? Like if you haven't done it already, you're probably not going to do it. So you need to up the game. Second, you got to remember your big why. So goals fall apart when we forget what's at stake. So what is at stake for you? And for some of you, what I know is there are people out there in the world that need to hear your message. And when you're letting fear hold you back, or you're getting distracted, or whatever the reasons are, right? Like we all have the excuses / reasons, right? We all have them, by the way, so do I. What happens is we are not solving the problem that our ideal clients are suffering with. And I truly believe 2020, like I'm getting chills even just getting ready to say this, I truly believe 2020 is the year that we have to step in and say yes to the vision, yes to the goal, and yes to getting our work out there in a bigger way, because there are way too many people who are struggling with, suffering with, frustrated by, overwhelmed because they have the problem that we solve so easily. So what goal is going to propel you forward to get that message out in a bigger way? Maybe the goal is you need to get a program out of your head and doing it one-on-one and structure it in a way that more people can take advantage of it. Maybe it's time for you to get a book out, right? Maybe it's time for you to start your podcast. Maybe it's time for you to go from kind of being in the realm of mini to the realm of influence by really getting your message shaped and constructed in a way that people can see and hear you more succinctly. So what is it for you? I can't wait to hear it. I'd love to hear your comments in the box below. tell me, like, what do you think the big goal is for you this year? Now, the third thing is to call on resources. So I am a firm believer that if you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to keep getting what you have right now. And so if you need to surround yourself with new people who are playing a bigger game and are lovingly going to hold your feet to the fire, do it. If you need some VAs, some virtual assistants, or some contractors who are really good at something that you're not, do it. And try this thought process on. What would have to happen for me to have the support I need? Do you get nervous? Do you get excited? Do you start immediately going, no one's going to be able to support me? I've tried that before, right? Like, we all have the thing we do, the messaging we play through. But what if you just allowed that support to show up? Do you start thinking, I can't afford it? I can't afford it is a limiting belief. Let me tell you, I have seen people who say they're broke, they can't pay their bills, come up with money to invest in really big coaching programs seemingly out of nowhere because they're committed. Commitment to the goal and resourcefulness to try things they haven't tried before is the differentiator. Hi, Sunny. Being bold, brave, and unapologetic to go after my business and build my business from the ground up and start signing on clients to work with time and to create my programs. And I'd love to write my memoir. Excellent. I love it. You can do this. You can do all of that. So there's a couple other things. I think that another piece of the goals puzzle is connecting the dots. Now, I'm going to talk about some of this. I'm going to do a live workshop on, I believe it's the 16th. Yes, on January 16th. You guys are all invited. If you want to come in live, we'll be doing some live Q&A and I'll answer questions live. You'll get an invitation to sign up for that. But what I'm going to be doing is connecting the dots between the goals and the money. Because I see a lot of people having money be the reason why they are not able to invest in the support they want, having money be a definer of their success or lack of success. And so what we need to start doing is connecting the dots between your goals, your activity, like what you do from a day-to-day perspective, and what you are going to generate in revenue. And what tends to miss is you set the goals and then you do a bunch of stuff that may or may not relate to money. And there's some very specific things that are breaking down for people that are keeping you from having the cash flow that you could have. And one of them, really simply, is you don't have a revenue plan. Okay, just to check in, for those of you that are here listening in, do you have, starting on day one of the year, a clear, defined revenue roadmap for 2020? What that means is, do you know what you're going to do and when you're going to do it, and what marketing activity will drive that to produce the revenue you desire? And if the answer is no, please know this is super common because creatives, visionaries, passion-driven people, they're really good at the work and usually not so great at getting it out of their heads and distilling it in a way that produces clear action steps. And I get it. Like, I've been doing this 20 years now. Can you believe this is actually my 20th year in business? I can't believe it's been that long. But what I know is that when we start over and over and over again to focus our effort on the activities that deliver profitable revenue, the game changes. So for those of you that may be newer friends or you haven't yet done this step, I would highly recommend you get a copy of my Profit Explosion Toolkit. For those of you already in the Amplify Mastermind, hello, nice to see you here. We're going to be focusing on this month in our Hour of Power to help you get really clear what you're going to do each month that produces the revenue you desire. And also, another little piece of the puzzle that's so helpful is really understanding what I called the hidden gold. I started calling it unique profit amplifier because it's a little sexier. But do you know what to focus on that amplifies your profits the fastest. So I have a quick story around this that might illuminate why this is so helpful. I do show you how to do this in the Profit Explosion Toolkit. If you work with me one-on-one, I'm happy to help you find this because sometimes it's hiding out. But the idea is that you find the thing that you do, and when you do it, the revenue is the highest, and it actually leads to other revenue potential. So I had a client for a while who was an accountant. She was in my mastermind a couple years ago. And one of the first things we did is I took her through the Profit Explosion Toolkit. And I discovered that she was spending about 45% of her time trying to build out this new offering. And it wasn't that it was a bad offering, but what was happening is she had very limited time and she was not producing the revenue she had hoped for. So when I took her through the process, it's the same process in the Profit Explosion Toolkit. What she discovered was she was actually spending time on something that could not produce the greatest profit. Because even though it was a good revenue maker, it was, you know, it was $1,000 up front and it was $200 a month. What she had to spend to produce that money was 10 times harder than what she could spend to produce $10,000 a sale instead of $1,000 a sale. And that actually led to reoccurring income between $200 and $500 a month. Aha, right? So everybody has this moment when they realize their unique profit amplifier is dormant. They're not spending time and energy on it, but it's the thing that is easy to sell. It's the thing that produces your best clients. And hopefully you have a business model that's set up where you make that first sale and then it leads to recurring revenue or other sales. Maybe you have more of like different programs people can buy into. And if you don't have that yet, that's okay. Maybe this is the year you're going to build that. And just know it's possible and it's really powerful when you find it. So as you're listening in, let me know, like, do you have clarity on what your unique profit amplifier is going to be? I'd love to hear what it is. Share it in the comments. And if you don't, you need to find it and you want my help, let me know in the comments and we'll reach out and get something set up for you. Now, if you're thinking like, okay, well, how do I get the Profit Explosion Toolkit? If you go to profitexplosiontoolkit.com, you have two choices. You can just get the downloadable on-demand version where I walk you through it. It's $197. Or you can book me for a private session where I'll walk you through it and I'll help you find it together, which is $597. Either one. This is a great investment to make now at the beginning of the year so that you start to map out the year with clarity and focus. Okay, so last tip for today, we've talked about commitment, we've talked about you know, all the different pieces of setting a goal, like connecting the dots between the goal, the action, and the revenue. Now what I want to leave you with is, and this may be the most important shift that you make in setting your goals this year, and the one thing that will make it vastly different than the years before, is as you set your goals, I want you to notice the message that you give yourself. And if you start to question yourself, can I do it? Is this really something that I can pull off? I don't know how to do it. Or what if I fail? I want you to know that that is the goal you have to set. Do not shrink the goal to be safe. Stretch the goal so you can stretch into it. I mentioned that 2020 is meant to be a very powerful year. There are so many things that are getting ready to happen this year. There's so much that's happening in the world right now around the 2020 energy. This is the year you must stretch and shine. You must get your message out there. If you don't feel ready, I get it. You're probably more ready than you're giving yourself credit for. If you don't know how, I get it. But let that go. Commit to the goal and then get help. Ask for support. If you have to stretch into booking a 15-minute session with me to get this figured out this year, do it. Stop letting your fears define your success. Stop letting what you don't know how to do dictate what you go for. Look, the world is full of opportunity. The world is full of promise, but we need to help you become the person who is confident and capable. So part of setting these goals, I want you to set the boldest, biggest goal you can imagine. Even if you don't pull it off, it's totally fine, because you've become something and someone that you weren't already. You've probably accomplished things somewhere between where you were and where you wanted to be. It's all better than doing nothing and playing it safe. And I'm definitely right here with you. I am stretching big this year, setting some really big goals for myself. And part of it is really taking inventory. What has to change so the confidence goes up, the capacity goes up, the capability goes up? And here's 3 things I'm absolutely adding into my arsenal, if you will. I am massively upping my self-care. That might mean boundaries. That might mean that, stronger standards. Really upping what I need so that I can feel like I'm thriving. 2, I'm upping my support. So I'm looking at all the places where does myself, my team, what do we need in order to be able to take things to the next level? And really looking at that ruthless, radical delegation. It's like, what am I holding on to that I don't have to hold on to, or I'm doing it from fear? And 3, I'm upping my clarity. And we're going back in and doing a whole nother level of planning so that my team can help me execute on this. So just know I'm right there with you, and I'm not immune to any of this. I rely on my tools. I go through the Profit Explosion Toolkit just like I have my clients do every year. I inventory it at the end of the year. I do it at the beginning of the year. I do the year-end wrap-up. And for our Amplify members, I claim my bold year just like they do. So I'm doing it right here with you. And I'm here to answer your questions. I'm here to be the catalyst for your greatness. I have to close with this. I'm a huge fan of human design, and I'm super excited to bring Chetan, who's one of the big architects of human design in the United States. Human design, learning my human design radically altered who I was and what my capacity was, and how I made decisions and trusting myself even more. It was really awesome. I can't wait to share this interview with you, because he's making available the human design assessments if you'd like one. And one of the things I've been reading about with human design that's so exciting is this is the year of the individual shining. Like really looking at who as individuals, how do we trust ourselves more? How do we lean into our own superpowers? How do we dig deeper and trust our own instincts? And so as you move out into 2020 and you look at your goals, I want you to trust that voice inside of you that keeps saying, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. Yes, it may need to be shaped a bit. Yes, it may need to be massaged so the world around you knows what it is that you're offering them. Yes, you may need some support in creating it in a way that's easy to deliver and it's exciting to your audience. And that's what our Amplify Mastermind's all about. If you're looking for a mastermind this year, we do have a couple spots left. But just know that you have everything inside of you already need. This is your learning how to access it, how to activate it, and how to amplify it. And you have that inside of you. So I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Keep all the good stuff coming. Make sure you listen to this week's podcast interview with Miko Sakai. I probably said that wrong. She's so fantastic at helping us find our word, which can also really help us shape our goals this year. It was a super fun interview. She's got a great Amplify Your Success podcast, episode 159. She's got a great handout to help you find your word if you haven't picked one yet. And we'll talk about that more in a couple days. I'll be back soon with some more tips for this year. And make sure you watch for the email invitation to join me for the How to Create a Revenue Rush this year. I can't wait to walk you through that process. All right, see you all soon.